A complex fraction is a fraction that contains individual smaller fractions within it. And one way that we can simplify these is to multiply each individual fraction by the least common denominator of all the fractions. And so what I'm going to do is, as we've done in the past, I'm going to build a least common denominator, an LCD. And so looking at all three of these individual fractions, I can see that my least common denominator is going to be p times q. If you need help finding the least common denominator, watch one of my previous videos and you can see how to do that. What I'm going to do differently than when I add fractions is I'm not going to multiply the top and bottom. I'm going to simply multiply all the numerators by that least common denominator. And watch what effect this will have when I do each numerator only by that LCD. If it helps, you may want to do this as the least common denominator over 1, just to remember that you're multiplying only the numerators by that least common denominator. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of spotlight and only look at part of this problem at a time. So for example, just look at this part of the problem right here. And I can see that since I'm multiplying and I have the same thing on the top and bottom, those pieces will cross out and leave behind just 1 times q, or just q. In other words, what's happened is I've eliminated the fraction within the top of this complex fraction. Let's move down to the denominator. Once again, spotlight and just look at one piece of this at a time. So just looking at this part right here where I've multiplied the numerator by my least common denominator, once again I have the same thing right there, those will cancel out, leaving behind just 1 times q, or again just q. Plus, I'll now spotlight and look just at this final piece right here, these two parts multiplied together. Again, since I have the same thing in the top and bottom, I can cross those out. That leaves behind just 1 times p, or just a single p. And notice now what's happened. I've eliminated the fractions within the fraction. I still have one overall fraction, but that's fine. It's no longer a complex fraction. It's been simplified, and I've gotten rid of those fractions within the fraction.